Hi there, so this is from Isurus, and today we're going to look at the MXR Smart Gate. The Smart Gate's got quite a few little features that make it really good, especially in such a tiny little package. If we look at the front of it, you've got just one knob, which is the level of noise reduction on the sensitivity of the gate. You have a switch here for full, mid or high, and this is kind of the triggering frequency. And then you have this high trigger. So you've got two settings for the sensitivity of the range. First of all, it's best to try it out on the normal setting. If you've got too much noise going on, you've got really high gain pedals or something that you'll try a gate, then you can switch in the high range and then you've got even more gating. So not an awful lot, this can be quite a quick video, but I've decided to use a noisy guitar, i.e. one with single coils. And I've got Electro Harmonix Big Muff Pi because that's a noisy pedal as well, so I'm trying to give it a hard time. So this is with the pedal off. And then let's use the gate. So you can see that there, it's kind of it's preserving the tails. The gate's starting to come on, but it's keeping the tails going. I mean, any gate is always going to give you some sort of issues. You're going to have a problem with losing tails or stuttering sometimes. So it's kind of finding the best balance that kind of works with what you're playing and the setup you have, really. So normally wouldn't really use it on clean sounds generally, because it's going to be relatively clean anyway. It's only once you've got a lot of effects in a chain or you've got a really high gain pedal when a noise gate becomes really, really useful, because you've got all that hiss, all that line sort of noise in the signal, and it's part of the sound in a way, you can't really get away from it. So you can set up a noise gate to kind of cut off most of it, but when you're playing it'll hold on to hopefully pretty much everything you're playing. So we're going to kick in the Big Muff Pi, and now you should be able to hear there's quite a lot of noise because the setting I had before was for the guitar clean. So now you can see the gate is partially working, it's sort of lit, but if I turn this up, it's silenced it. Whereas without it, see, it's got a little bit of, as the gate kind of kicks in, there's a little bit of a kind of the hum comes through, but it's definitely a lot better than without it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give the Big Muff loads of welly, so it's going to make loads of noise. And we're going to put it into the high setting. Whereas with the pedal off, it's doing a really good job of silencing the quiet parts, the pauses in the music, getting rid of all that noise that's being generated by the combination of the guitar, the cables, the whatever, the lighting in the room, and a really heavy fuzz setting in this case. So I found the MXR Smart Gate to work really well mostly. I've only ever used it with high gain sounds, so it will be in a loop that will kick in at the same time as whatever distortion or high gain settings going on. So I've only ever used it kind of set for that. I don't use it on clean sounds generally, it's not needed. but it gives you so much flexibility with you've got wide range with the two sensitivity levels, the high and low setting. Whenever I've used it, I've always used it on the full setting for high gain sounds, but I can imagine you can find other uses. Like, I'll just demonstrate this. Just won't work very well in, let's put it in the high setting. So this is, or the hiss setting. So this is for, like, yeah, just hissy noise, and it won't really help too much. So it's not really doing anything. The mid will probably make it a bit better. Or maybe not. And the full. And that's quite an extreme setting on the big muff as well, so it's really noisy. So it definitely works well for cleaning up, especially for kind of heavy riffing and stuff like that. You will get some kind of tails being cut off if you're playing sort of lead, and I might just bring this gain down on the big muff, and let's find where it's kicking in. So you can hear there it does affect the tail a little bit, but for most kind of practical uses it works well. I mean, it's not that often you hold a note for a huge amount of time, and what I've found is if I've had any kind of lead patches where I need lots of sustain, I just, you know, don't have it on. So it's kind of horses for courses really. You use it as and when it's necessary, and times when it's gonna, you know, mess up what you're playing, if you've got it set to, you know, handle some kind of heavy gain sound, and then you've got some lighter gain lead, then either don't use it or have it in some way in your rig where you can kind of remove it at certain points, or just for that particular sound, which is what I did, having it in a MIDI switched system. But yeah, as a noise gate, it works really well. I've got another noise gate, the ISP Decimator, which I'm going to do a review of as well, which is also a really good gate, but simpler. It just has one knob. It doesn't have as many options as this one, even though, to be honest, I've never used it other than in the full mode, so whether that or not that's really useful is up for debate, I suppose. But the MXR is a really small chassis. It's got a really nice bright blue LED, and it's got the nice gate light, so you can see what the gate's doing. It kind of, as you've seen, it kind of gets stronger as the gate's on, and the LED's fully lit when the gate's clamped down completely. So yeah, that's a quick little look at the MXR Smart Gate. I've always found it works really well. Never had any real want to kind of replace it with anything else. Even the ISP decimator, I've still kind of used the MXR Smart Gate as my primary. So yeah, if you're looking for a noise gate, you've got some noisy old vintage pedals, or you like really high gain sounds and want clean, crisp breaks in your riffing, then yeah, check one out. Thanks a lot.